Now, at this time on a Sunday, we take stock of the week that was and the stories which made headlines. We start in Durban, where 2 cocaine busts were made. Trafficking drugs through South African ports is one on the rise, and the country is seemingly the preferred route for global drug cartels to push the illicit drug trade. In the past week alone, police discovered a 70 million rand cocaine shipment at the Durban harbour and intercepted another drug shipment with 80 million rand at King Shaka International Airport. Officers say they have been tracking various containers which arrived in the country from Brazil via Durban harbour. So why is South Africa seemingly the preferred route for traffickers? Let's unpack this further. We're joined this hour by senior reporter Dasen Thathiah. Very good afternoon to you, Dasen. And I suppose that is the big question on everyone's minds as to why are South Africa's ports the preferred ones for drug cartels peddling millions worth of drugs?
Well, Rafiwa, we've been doing some research on this topic, and in fact we had put together a comprehensive package on this issue of cocaine and how it moves through the province of KwaZulu-Natal and South Africa broadly as well. And it would appear that South Africa and KwaZulu-Natal is a preferred transshipment node. So what it effectively means is that while the market doesn't seem to exist here in KwaZulu-Natal or in South Africa as much, yes, there is cocaine usage sporadically in the country. The use or the primary purpose of the country is to move it elsewhere. And a lot of that ends up going through to Europe, and within the country, it first makes its way to places like Gauteng, it makes its way to places like Cape Town. So it moves within. So experts are saying that because of that, it allows this, because of the location rather, it allows an opportunity for these cartels to move drugs in and to move it out. And interestingly, one criminologist that we spoke to, Dr. Guy Lamb, was actually telling us during an interview that efficiency also plays a part. So it means that if you want to try to bring drugs into the country, ideally you'd be looking for a place that has its act together. So you wouldn't want some rural, far-flung port. You'd want somewhere that seems to move with a certain degree of haste. And the Durban port, being one of the busiest, does tend to, even with its backlogs, process these containers quite quickly. Now, it's clear that as these drugs come in, it's not a foolproof system because not every single container is scanned. So although there have been drug busts and although there have been these recoveries, there is also potentially a lot more that's slipping through the cracks. We had an opportunity just a short while ago to speak to the National Police Commissioner, General Fani Masamula, and we spoke to him about this issue of cocaine coming into the country. Let's listen in.
The drug bust, all it happened from Durban Harbour, but we are currently investigating whether is it the same syndicate or not. So disclosing a lot might also create us a problem, but what we can confirm, it comes from the same country, which is Brazil. Both the drug bust down in Montclair and those that we have done in the trade port in King Shaka. So it comes from the same country, and it's quite huge, yes. But we are still investigating whether is it the same or different syndicates.
Is it safe to say that there has been an increase in the amount of cocaine, for example, that is being brought into the country? There was a report which was showing that, around the time of COVID, there was more of an effort to use ships and maritime means to bring cocaine in. Is that something you're seeing?
Yeah, it is. There is a marked increase in terms of bringing cocaine through harbours, be it this one, Durban or Cape Town. We have intercepted quite a lot. Well, we will reinforce our actions within the harbours because at the airports, I think maybe they can't come through anymore. We have tightened control there. So we just have to make sure that now that we concentrate on our harbours. Yes, since COVID, there has been increase, especially cocaine coming into the country through the ships.
Are you going to be looking for any more of that contraband as part of that shipment? You said you're investigating whether there's a link between those two. Yes. But do you believe that there's any more than what we've already seen that may have already made it into the country?
That's what we are. That's what we are investigating. And the day when we were down in Montclair, I did direct the officers that they should look more, not only concentrate on that one shipment, but look more as to isn't there other shipments before, after, which is what exactly they did. That's how they found this one at the Dubai Trade Port.
Of course, Dasen, there are also elements of corruption that are involved in this trafficking of cocaine through our borders. What did the Commissioner have to say about this component?
Well, Rafiwa, I think it stands to reason, in any of the crimes that we've been seeing, in any of the crimes that that involve, situations that are as intricate as this one, it stands to reason then that there is normally some type of inside information that is being revealed, or people on the inside that are working to achieve these ends. And that's not just speculation. We've also been talking to experts in the space about that, and they agree that often, if you're looking at CITs, for example, cash and transit robberies, you're looking at people on the inside that are providing this information. Similarly, with this type of situation where you are talking about drugs being brought into the country, you need someone to facilitate that, and you need people in the right places. One of those places would be at the port of entry. There would be people in the shipping process. There would be people in the country of origin as well to make all of this work. So while on the one front you have police intelligence and you have these operations that are taking place, it's sometimes counterproductive if you don't deal with the issue of corrupt officials within the system. So that's one of the questions that we asked the Commissioner as well. Here's what he had to say.
We do have our counterintelligence looking at that in terms of if there are officials involved. Currently, the SAPS is working together with custom officials, so one cannot point a finger to one department to say that one is corrupt, but we are looking at all officials that are working at the ports of entry, be they SAPS, customs, or Home Affairs, or we are looking at that, all of it, and in the past we did have some successes. You'd remember on the KwaZulu-Natal port of entry, a year ago we arrested over 14 officials, including police, Home Affairs, and so on. So that is a continuous work that we are doing.
General, this question seems to be popping up a lot, especially on my social media. People are asking, what happens to all of this cocaine after you've recovered it?
In the near future, the cocaine, after we recover it, we test it. From there, it goes for court cases. But the rest of it that we have confiscated, we destroy it. There is a process where we destroy it through companies that deals with destructions of cocaine, and we have very senior officials that form part of that, so that we are sure of that yes, it is destroyed. Okay, and we will inform you soon.
So, Dasen, the National Police Commissioner, giving us a broad sense of what is happening across the country when it comes to our national ports of entry and the drugs that are siphoned through them. But you also got to engage the Provincial Commissioner in KZN, General Mkhwanazi. What is his sense of what's happening in the province, and really just how deep the problem has become for the province?
Yeah, so one of the things that I wanted to chat to with General Mkhwanazi was about what happens between the ports, so to speak. Between the time the drugs come in and they leave the country. You also have some of these experts saying to us that one of the other problems that exists is when these drugs are potentially out of the port and they're making their way in between the provinces, from one province into the next province, and most times they're doing that by road. And if you look at how well these drugs are concealed, for example, the other day we saw them concealed in paint containers, and the next day they were in some boxes that were meant to be carrying chicken. So there are creative ways that these drug syndicates are using to disguise this. Now, if you put that into a truck and you put it onto national roads, for example, it can easily get lost there. So what are the measures that are being taken on that front? Well, General Mkhwanazi was saying to us that a lot of what they do is driven by intelligence. So it means that they would then use a response that is needed as a result of the intelligence that they receive. For example, a truck was leaving and heading in that direction. in this case, when you look at the King Shaka International Airport, those drugs were apparently moved there all the way from the port. They didn't actually come in via air. They came in and they were being stored at a warehouse there. He says them finding it is as a result of intelligence. So some of the plans that will be in place will be, for example, to use mobile scanners. Let's listen in to what he had to say to us when we chatted to him a little while ago.
What we've seen recently is not something that is only destined for KZN specific. It's something that's affecting the whole country. And at times it also affects other countries, because some of these commodities, they come here and they prepare them, they package them into pills, and they ship them out again into other countries. So it's not necessarily that everything that is raw cocaine that comes in, it's destined for South Africa. It comes in here, yes, but for processing. And then they cut it and they put it into pills and they ship it out again. So it's everyone is affected by it.
I know that we have the ports of entry that are covered, so to speak. But then one of the other things that has come up during our interviews with some other officials is that they talk about the transit, right? So as it moves through our province via road, for example, beyond the ports, how are you, or how do your officers deal with that? Because essentially it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. And some people were saying to us from the chamber, for example, that if it gets through the port, it's as good as gone. So how do you strengthen those controls within the road space in terms of the freight?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't agree with those that are saying once it's through the airport, the port is gone, because, I mean, the airport, what we found there was not necessarily the airport, it was the trade port, which means it was already cleared out of Dasen Thathiah when we found it. I mean, we found drug labs in different parts of this province, in the farms where they're manufacturing drugs, so we do get them. Our operational strategy is always going to be informed by intelligence. We know that this criminal syndicate dealing with drugs are well organized. The top brass, they stay in the posh suburbs, upmarket places, under secured environment, and they don't necessarily get involved. They don't get their hands dirty. So the movement of this cargo from point A to point B, as I'm sure you might have seen the footage of the one that we found both at Dasen Thathiah the other day and the airport, I mean, concealed in paint, and also some of them kept in the chicken, frozen chicken. Our dogs, our sniffer dogs, are not able to smell those things easily. So that's why they can just drive past wherever the police are standing and with the aim of detecting. So our intelligence helps us a lot in terms of following up. We do a lot of profiling also on big companies that are moving cargo up and down. We know that there's high volume of cargo that are coming into our port. That's why we've been engaging with our leadership to help us to acquire scanners, mobile scanners. So we'll want to put quite a lot of scanners in and around the port, as well as also on our freeways, so that it's easy to scan the whole container in a truck, because there's a lot of illicit goods that are moving there, including human trafficking as well.
Very worrying developments there, Dasen Thathiah, and I suppose there are concerns that you would have picked up from the Provincial Commissioner, I suppose, as well as the National Police Commissioner, around the festive season and the kind of goods that are going to be flowing through the ports, and of course them needing to beef up the boots on the ground during this period.
That's right. I mean, it's a busy period that is coming up now. So according to them, they have these systems in place. They are also working closely with authorities from other countries as well. So this is part of what they're doing to ensure that they can stop the flow of drugs coming in. But as I mentioned, the bus that we see, this is only really some of it. There are a lot of mechanisms, a lot of systems in place, and they need to make sure that all of those are aligned to stop the flow of these drugs and these illicit goods coming into the country. And that's not always an easy task. So as we approach this season, they say that they will be strengthening operations as well to ensure that they can do more on that front.
Senior reporter Dasen Thathiah, thank you very much for that detailed breakdown of what is happening with drug cartels and using our national ports of entry to push through millions worth of drugs to different countries across the globe.